Welcome to Therapeutic Yoga. Today we're going to be on our seat and we're going to be working through a series of hip stretches. So this is great if you happen to sit a lot, not in the way we're doing it today, but if you happen to sit a lot or if you're involved in any activities that might bring some tightness into this space. So let's begin. Seated, surprise. Lean back into your hands and step your feet a little wider than hip width distance apart. Let's begin by moving our knees side to side. You can think of your knees or your legs rather as windshield wipers. And this helps to bring a little bit of space in your hip joints by rotating your legs, but also if you lift the opposite hip when you move, then you get a little bit of a twist in your lower back too. Okay. And then bring yourself back upright. Bring the soles of your feet together. Now you may want to put something low and soft underneath your hips. So that could be a pillow, a soft block, or a blanket. And then bring your heels in towards your hips. Not really tight, about a foot or a little over a foot away. Just give yourself some room. Let your knees fall open as much as they will. Take your hands around your ankles or higher on your shin bones if you wish. Then as you inhale, lift up through your chest, so your spine's nice and long. And when you exhale, bow in towards your legs. Now we're going to move a few times. So as you inhale, come away from the stretch. And then as you exhale, flow into the stretch. Okay, keep moving with your breath. Nice and slow. Okay, let all the breath out. And then bring yourself back up. Okay, again, you can stay seated on something with low height and then extend your right heel out and fold your left foot in towards your right inner thigh. And if your left knee is lifted, I'm just going to come off the block here. If your left knee is lifted, then you can place something underneath your left thigh. That helps you press down through your outer thigh. It's a bit more grounding. Turn your right toes up towards the ceiling. Turn your chest towards your right foot. And as you breathe in, again, lengthen the spine. And then as you exhale, bow in towards your legs. Now, just a couple more times. Inhale to lengthen till some of the sensation goes away. And then exhale and fold back into it. One more time in movement, and inhale. And then an exhale. Okay, now let's hold. If it's a little intense where you've come to, you can certainly back away a bit. But try to keep your breath moving deeply. And not all of the movement ceases. You may find your spine moving a bit. It's very natural. But each time you breathe out, imagine that you could breathe away the tension, bringing more softness into the tight spaces of your body. One more full breath. And then lift yourself back up. If you have a block behind your left knee, just take that off to the side. Bring your left hand back behind you, press into your palm, reach your right hand forward and up. So this helps to open up your chest. You can keep your hips on the ground, or if you feel stable, lift your hips up, reach up, and even reach towards the back of your mat. Press down through your finger pads of your left hand. Hug your left shoulder blade onto the back of your rib cage. And then slowly settle your hips down if you chose to lift them. Okay, let's trade sides. So send your left heel towards the left edge of your mat. Bend your right knee. Again, you can place a block underneath your left thigh, right thigh, I mean. And then turn your left toes up. Turn towards your left leg. As you inhale, lengthen your spine. And as you exhale, bow in towards your leg. Now as you inhale, back away until some of the sensation goes away. And when you exhale, move back into it. One more time like that, and inhale. And an exhale. And if it's a bit intense, leaning in so far, do adjust where you are so there's no feeling of strain. Try to keep your breath moving deeply. And each time you breathe, try to expand the boundaries of the inhale. And also breathe out just so much that you feel kind of a basement to your breath. Let's move through one more slow breath. And lift your upper body. Again, if there's a block underneath your right knee, take it away. Take your right hand back, reach your left hand forward, reach your hand up. Your hips can stay on the ground or lift your hips up, reaching up or off the back of your mat. Press down firmly through your right finger pads. Hug your right shoulder blade onto the back of your rib cage. And then slowly, carefully lower your hips if you lifted them. Okay, bend your knees again. Place the soles of your feet to the mat, and a couple more times, just rock your legs side to side so we return to balance. Okay. We're going to move next into our outer hips. This stretch is called 90-90. So let's come back to our right leg. First, move your left foot off towards the side, and then take your right heel, bring it towards the left side of your mat, and then move your right outer knee down towards the right. So here your left hip will likely lift off the mat. That's totally fine. Lean into your hands and then bend your left knee and take your left foot further back down your mat. And how far it goes is how far it feels right for you. So your knee could be closer or you could send your leg back quite far, and that makes it pigeon pose. Okay, now turn your chest towards the front of your mat. Just look down at your shin bone and try to align the front of your shin bone to the front edge of your mat so they're parallel, and keep your right foot flexed. Now as you breathe in, lengthen your spine. We usually do it this way. And then when you exhale, lean towards the front of your mat. And here you can place something underneath your elbows if you wish, or underneath your forehead if you come down quite low. As always, try to stay with a slow rhythm of breath. If you're kind of wondering what's the idea of this pose, am I feeling this in a way that's beneficial? Generally speaking, we're looking for a stretch around the back of your left hip, so your gluteus medius muscle, and sometimes this comes up into your lower back as well. And we're keeping our right hip grounded, so the load that could possibly be going into your right knee in a harmful way is instead moving into your right hip down into the earth. And one more slow breath. And then lift your chest, lean over to the right, bring your left leg out ahead of you. Okay, so let's do the same thing. First, take your right leg out to the side, move your left heel towards the right edge of your mat, and then bring your left outer knee down. Feel free to lift your right hip, bend your right knee, and then take your leg back as much as it feels reasonable to do. Okay. Check that your left shin bone is about parallel to the front edge of your mat, and keep your left foot flexed really strongly through your ankle. Turn your chest towards the front of your mat, and then here is a slow breath in. It's a lengthening breath, and then exhale, bow. Also mention, we are on the second side, but maybe for future, if you want to decrease the intensity of the pose, then you'll lean a little more to the left over your left knee. And if you want to increase the intensity, the opposite. You'll aim more towards your left foot. You can think of it as just how much stretch you're bringing around the back side of your hip, and that stretch is going to change whether you move in towards your hip or move away from it. And then try to soften your left hip. So as you breathe, if you find that you're holding on, clenching in your left hip, then try to release that so this can be more of a stretch. And then one more slow breath for this side. Okay. And then lift your chest again, lean over to the left so you can bring your right leg out ahead of you. Okay. So this posture holds some similarities to what we just did, but it's more oriented as a twist. You may want to sit up on a block again if you find that helpful. Walk both of your feet over towards the left, and then fold both of your knees down towards the right. Move your left leg further back, and then move your right heel in towards the front of your pelvis. And so the angle of your knees is tighter. Let's breathe in to come upright. And then as you exhale, turn towards the right. Bring your right hand back and your left hand onto your right thigh. The next time you breathe again, recreate some length in your spine. And then as you breathe out, roll your right shoulder back. And you can also turn your gaze towards the right. I'm going to add an extra option. The twist is a primary point of being here, but if you'd like to add a thigh stretch of your left leg, then you can lift your left foot up, reach your left hand back to your left foot. Feel free to adjust your left knee, the placement of your left knee, any way you need to for the sake of the stretch, and then hug your heel in towards the back of your hip. And also, if it feels better for you to lean a little over to the right, no problem there. That may give you more room in your lower back. Let's take a couple more breaths. You're holding your left foot, let it go, unwind, bring your legs out ahead of you, move both of your heels over to the right, move both of your knees over to the left, and then take your right leg further back, your left heel moves in front of your hips. Breathe in to come up tall, and then as you exhale, move your left hand back, your right hand to your left thigh, push into those surfaces to recreate the length of your spine, and then roll your left shoulder back. Your gaze can go as far into the twist as you feel comfortable to do. So here's the twisting element, and let's try to keep the twisting element as a primary form of the pose, but if the thigh stretch felt like a good idea on the first side, lift your right foot, reach your right hand back. Again, you may need to move your right knee back a little bit to find the stretch. Hug your right heel in towards the back of your hip. And if you've lost a little of the twist, just come into it again, roll your left shoulder back, and continue to lift up through the back edges of your ears, knowing that if you feel any compression in your lower back on the right side that doesn't feel like a great idea, just lean a little further over your left leg. Your right foot is in your hand, gently let it go, turn forward, bring your heels out ahead of you. Okay, now take both of your heels wide. We're looking for a straddle shape. You can choose how wide you take your heels. And then you can sit right on your mat, but if you find your kneecaps turning back and the feeling is that you're leaning back, then sit up on a block. That will help take some of the tension out of your hamstrings. Okay, then do try to turn your toes up towards the ceiling. Press your hands down, again, to lengthen your spine. And then roll your pelvis forward. So your legs stay stationary, but your pelvis moves, therefore your spine and your torso move into the forward fold. Now, even as you're sitting upright, you are halfway into the forward fold. So if you move in further, know that it becomes a deep stretch pretty quickly. Just pause at a place that the sensation feels breathable, and let's take a few slow breaths. Also encourage you to close your eyes so you can bring a little bit more of your attention into the feelings and also into the quality of your breath. Time you breathe in, carefully lift your upper body. Now, the next exercise we're going to do is kind of more of an exercise than a stretch. It is a hip strengthener, and it really strengthens your ability to rotate your hips with control, strengthens your hip flexors and your glutes. So let's begin with our knees bent. Walk your feet just a little bit wider than your hips. You're welcome to sit on a bolster, something that's not tippy. I'm going to sit on the mat because that is definitely not tippy. Okay, so you've got about a foot between your feet now. Lean your body over towards the right. So your left hip gets light. Your hands can come down inside and outside your right thigh to help stabilize you. If you're comfortable through this with your hands at your heart, you can go that way too. Now look down at your left heel and lift your left foot. Lift off and then move your left foot wider and try to bring your inner right knee and inner right ankle down to the mat. Once it has, just let your legs soften. Take an inhale to sit upright again. And then as you exhale, look over to your left leg. We're going to lift it up, return it where it came from. So around it goes, outer heel to the mat. Okay, lean over to the left now, hands up or hands down. Lift your right heel, move your right heel wider. So we're inwardly rotating our leg, bring your inner ankle down, inner knee down. Once it's down, try to rest your outer hip for a moment as you breathe in and lengthen. And then look down to your right leg, lift it up, turn your leg forward, outer ankle comes back down. Okay, we're gonna do it one more time. So hands up or hands down, lean to the right, lift your left heel up, turn your leg inwardly, try to slowly lay your inner ankle, inner knee down. There's a moment to rest, and then look back, lift your inner ankle, inner knee up, and externally rotate your leg, and there it goes down. Lean over to the left. Lift up through your right outer heel, carry your foot wider, knee in, and then place your foot down, inner knee down, a moment to rest, a moment to extend, and then look back, and around we go. So that can be quite difficult to do if your body's not accustomed to it, and I know I haven't done it for a little while, so there's kind of wavering, but if you can do it more often, you get quite good at it. All right, our work is done. Let's lie back, Shavasana. So as you come onto your back, spread your heels out, spread your hands out, press down through the back of your pelvis, the back of your head, and tuck your shoulder blades underneath you. Okay, let your thigh bones soften so there can be some spaciousness that's created through the front of your hips. And allow your arms come to rest too. If you're holding any effort in your jaw or in your tongue, allow these to also become relaxed. Let the ground hold you. And then press your feet off the front of your mat, reach your hands off the back of your mat, take a deep inhale to lengthen. Exhale. And place the soles of your feet to the mat. Roll over to your right side into fetal pose. And press your left palm down into the ground to lift you back up and come to any comfortable seat. When you meet your seat, bring your palms together to heart center. Just take a moment to recognize your intentional action, your practice. Thank you for sharing your practice. Namaste.